Okay guys, this is part 2. I got cut off on part 1 and frankly I lost the part 2, the way this camera's set up. It's supposed to make multiple files every 30 minutes or 20, I don't know, 28 point something minutes. So kind of works in our favor a little bit. I get to explain something differently, but darn it, you missed my awesome surprise when I came down to here. You saw the aha moment. Okay, so it's C2 only, not C4 to update. Now I get to do it. The scaffolding, the deflection, okay, let me just surmise that this whole thing would have failed because they had miscalculations. They didn't understand why cracking appeared in 10 and number 3 was not explainable. They post-tensioned first number 2 and number 3 because they assumed that the forces were going to stay in the diaphragm area. None inside the deck or none inside the, of course some inside the canopy. It's coming across the canopy, right? But they didn't calculate properly. C2 is, I don't know, 400 plus kips ability, and it's farther away than the center line than where these guys cross each other, the two A and B members of number 11. This has 4 members in it. What I was trying to say in the first video is that reversing a little bit. The post-tensioning inside 2 and 11, they did not realize that that would create a downward force in number 10 and number 3. The downward force was not mathematically figured out because D1 was the only thing post-tension in this deck. I believe it's on scaffolding at this point, here to here and here to the ground. To cut to the chase here, the scaffolding, we're back at like the I-35 ramp. Is it I-35 ramp with the scaffolding issue and the foundation? I think we're back to the same thing again, scaffolding and foundation. That not enough was put in the foundation to support the scaffolding loads. I mean the transfer of loads down 10. That they did not predict loads would go down 10 because they only had D1 post-tension in this deck. No transverse cables were post-tensioned. These columns, these uprights, if you will, 10 through 3 alternatingly, yeah, so 9 touches, 8 touches, 7 touches. So you can see each one intersects the deck. And at the intersection of the deck, they had transverse cables, some reinforcement, and concrete to transfer the loads out to the end of the diaphragms on top of D1 through D6. They only had D1 here. Only D1 here at the time of post-tensioning this. There was no transverse cables. There was no way to get the loads out to D1 as intent was supposed to be. They go across the transverse cables, transferring the loads on top of, as I understand, on top of D1 through D6. This created a zone failure here. With the loads coming down, this created, ultimately, which we know, the video shows the failure happened here and here. This is the clear indicator where the loads, where this bridge is resolving its issues. Remember, it's still on scaffolding to some degree. I stated that they would see a gap between the scaffolding had this crowned, and I was saying I got to change my battery. Really? All right, so I got to hurry up a little bit, and then I'll do another video, but maybe later. So as this crowned, but as this tension was put in here, there's no way I can get through any leverage playing around with these degrees. Can I get this anchor point to give me a lifting point? And so I had to trash that. With that said, I trashed it. I went to work in my fast sleep, sleeping if I will. And this is compression. So when this was post-tension was added to A and B, compression was added, load downward force through mechanical advantage here that they didn't see. Created a downward force in 10. 10 deflected. So much so that it created tension cracks. The 10, it was a permanent deflection because the cracks are there. It deflected on the scaffolding